even if it is a fringe, if it's being practiced in those in a higher socioeconomic bracket, everybody below will look to imitate it, right? Because when you do that, then you associate yourself with that particular socioeconomic group, right? We saw it when it came to feminism, we saw it when it came to sexual liberation, and I think this this trend of over sexualization in music, especially with like the presentation of visuals behind the music, I think that it's the same thing, right? Because the other thing that they do is they present these people or these caricatures to be wealthy, right? So you're already presenting them to be somebody who's a higher socioeconomic ranking than the people who are consuming the music. So I think that makes it a lot easier to emulate. I think that was a brilliant point.
Do I kind of want to take all the pressure off of Lil Kim for a second, because before Lil Kim, when it comes to pop, Madonna. I mean, Madonna was pretty big woman. She was a mega star and she preached sexuality. I mean, most of her platform was about sex in some type of way.
Do you think they were accepted differently because they were reaching? Do you think that they were targeting a different demographic, or do you think Lil Kim was received differently than Madonna because of presentation?
Do you know what?
I think that for us, I think Lil Kim had more influence over African Americans than Madonna. Because I think that we listened to Madonna music, but it wasn't like you were trying to be like Madonna. You know what I'm saying? But Lil Kim was actually probably an idol. I don't know, because she wasn't mine. But maybe somebody like, people looked at her as an idol. And maybe from there, it's like, oh, I want to be like little girls. Maybe like, oh, I want to be like Little Kim. And they don't even know what they're saying. But they turn out to be like Little Kim.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever so we had this thing, right, where a lot of the older people, like, so from my neighborhood, like, it'd be people who might not have been tough growing up, and then once everybody died or got locked up that was actually tough, they would come out and fabricate.
Well, we're gonna get to that in a second. I want to keep that part out of this section.
I was going to parallel the point to people.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to parallel the point to people. So women might have talked about, I guess that is kind of going into the art and life. All right, never mind.
Yeah. I will say this to the Madonna and Little Kim comparison. I'm not sure, but I don't think they're directly comparable all the time, and I mean that across the spectrum for all races. For what I'm about to say, there is always and I'm talking about in every ethnic group all over the world, because rhythmic music doesn't just exist here in America. When there is sensuality in the middle to upper class representation, it's taken a lot different. And Madonna was a sensual, sexual pop star. Rap females and those Little Kim types are associated with the ghetto. And I think that's one of the reasons they get received different, because we have a lot of, in fact, Beyonce was a sensual kind of sex figure, but she's a pop star. And the one thing that pop stars can do that the world likes is that even it's like they're taking off a little bit of their bra, but then they put it back on. I'm like, haha, you can't see. They're more like teases, because Beyonce basically lived her life in a way that just made her respectable, no matter what she was saying in her music. And it's almost as if the ones who are super ghetto all the time, putting they cooch on people's faces in videos, you can't really redeem yourself from that. That's really associated with the ghetto. And I don't mean ghetto as in black. I mean ghetto as in ghetto. There are white trash artists that do this type of stuff. They're all kind of received the same way entirely, by the entire world.
So, but to that point though, Madonna didn't, when she initially came on the music scene, was what we would classify as white trash. She didn't start to get into her classy era until her career had kind of slowed down and she was a little bit more established, where she had to rebrand in order to do something a little bit different. But there wasn't this grand rebellion against Madonna when she first came out.
I remember well, maybe it was just among like church folks, but
Yeah,
I
that's
think
what.
I
Yeah, that's
think
what
she
I
was
was gonna
pretty
say. When
divisive.
that like
I
a
think she
version
caused
came
a
out.
stir.
You
I
know
just think,
what? Once I think about it, you remember that song? You guys probably don't remember the song, but in the 80s, there was a song by Tina Turner, and it was like, I'm your private dancer,
yep,
a
yep.
dancer for money. I mean,
Yeah.
even though the video didn't show anything risque, it was just like, but those words.
Was that muscle memory? Because you kind of got into that whole
Yeah,
song.
them shoulders was rolling.
I'm your private dancer.
So I just want to I want to make a quick point. We have to keep in mind when, and I'm sorry to say this, Coach K, but when white people started actually buying rap, think about this for a minute. It started happening somewhere right around 1993 when rap was truly being given to the masses and not it was no longer just urban. Lil Kim's first album dropped in 1991. So or 1998 or 96, I'm sorry, 96. And that was in the middle of of that explosion, and so it's no longer guys. Now we have this female, this hard female rapping these lyrics, and our little white girls are out buying these albums mimicking what they see in urban culture, because prior to her there was MC Light who would rap and had some risque lyrics. Queen Latifah never really did the risque lyric piece, but she was also a rapper and she never really caught the kind of flack that Little Kim caught. I think that we have to keep in mind when the music really started to boom and who was listening to and buying what while going to whose concerts. Because Lil Kim, if memory serves, and you guys can correct me, I believe she was under Bad Boy, under the Bad Boy label. Under the Bad Boy label, you had people like Biggie, who had just recently passed away, but he was starting to Diddy was starting to really grow as stable, and those concerts were huge. So now you have what was in an urban area now reaching mainstream. So needless to say that white fathers didn't want their daughters listening to that, so they're gonna make a fuss about it. I think that like timing has a lot to do with it as well. I just wanted to point that out.
Mm-hmm.
And Foxy Brown, because Foxy Brown was in that category as well.
God, that she sound like.
But let's take that. Let's take Lil Kim. Do you think that maybe it was the combination? Because you just said there was Bad Boy. Biggie was really big at the time. Like he was one of the major artists at the time. Do you
Baby,
think it was
baby.
huh? Oh yeah. So do you think it was a combination of, okay, now you have Lil Kim who's doing this, you have Biggie who's saying, what did Biggie talk about women? What's some of the songs?
Love it when you call me Big Papa.
That ain't the song. I'm talking about the one like when one of the raunchy ones talking about women.
Oh, he had several.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm saying to you is the combination of that. So you got the guys who are listening to Biggie and women too, but then you have Little Kim, and they're all saying the same, like kind of pushing this narrative about women. At the same time, so you're getting double dose, like more, and these are your big artists at the time, and you're hearing it from both ends. And then you got P. Diddy on yachts with half naked women with money saying that this should be praised, this is how you live the life. And it was like all at once, like this is what living the life is like. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like somebody said earlier, like it's kind of you felt like, these are the people who are up here. In order to be up here with them, you have to be like them type of a situation. Do you think that it was like just a combination of so many things at one time and they're all preaching the same message?